Hello, beautiful people. We are talking about Project Artichoke, and our story today starts in 1951. All the way back in 1951, the CIA had people returning from the Korean War, quote, different. They wouldn't want to either talk about what happened to them when they were captured, or they had no recollection at all. So the CIA used this as an excuse to start their program, Project Artichoke, if you didn't read the title, where they wanted to mind control people and see if it was possible to make assassins or people who could carry out tasks without knowing they ever did it. Before MK Ultra, there was something more dark, more reckless, we'll say. Project Artichoke officially began August 20th, 1951, evolving from earlier Project Bluebird. It was operated by the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence, with the primary goal being to determine whether a person could involuntarily be made to perform acts, including assassination. Retention beat foreshadowing. One of the first scientists involved would later plunge to his death from a Manhattan hotel, but not yet. That comes later. Okay, we'll get into that. I have some shit tied to my bracelet. 1 second. Hair tight, and I don't even have long hair. Okay, so like I said earlier, they used LSD, mescaline, heroin, pretty much any drug they could get their hands on to try and not really just explore someone's conscience and what happens up in there, but like totally break it. And if you've ever done psychedelics, you know, these are powerful, powerful drugs. They can make people have life-altering experiences, they can cause psychosis, and it can either be the best time of someone's life or the worst. And they were trying to break them. They were having the worst times of their life. They were going crazy. They didn't know what was going on. They had strobe lights just flashing in their face. Like, it was terrible. Like, no wonder people are dying, because they're freaking out on this shit. So they would administer LSD in secret to give them a, quote, state of suggestibility. They were interested in finding out if they could make someone crazy enough by giving them that suggestibility, that state of suggestibility, in order to get them to carry out assassinations, give up government secrets, whatever it may be. Basically, drugging them to all hell, just making them high as hell, and trying to figure out what they could do to get them just to say whatever they want, do whatever they want, out of pure insanity. Second drug, they would use scopolamine. It was used to induce amnesia and confusion. Basically, like medically induced gaslighting by the government. Artichoke explored mixing it with alcohol, and I'm gonna fuck this word up, mixing it with alcohol and barbiturates to create a truth serum that erased memory afterwards. So basically getting them blackout drunk until they say whatever they want, like your Uncle Jim at his damn wedding or whatever. Heroin and morphine were also used, not only for dependency testing, they were gonna get them hooked on a drug. That's insane. But to stimulate addiction, withdrawal as psychological torture. So get someone blasted on heroin, get them dependent on it from their day-to-day life, and just take it away instantly. And if you want your drug, you need to tell us. They're just assholes. Oh my God. Testing for inhibition reduction essentially would, oh my God, I can't talk. They would use cannabis to try and get information out of them. Cannabis wasn't as researched at the time, and their goal would be to get someone to talk too much or see if they would do things they typically wouldn't while high, in order to see, okay, this is where their mind's at when they're high. How can we build from this place to get them saying what we want them to say? Here's the thought. If someone could erase your memory, plant a new one, and have you believe it for your life, would you even know it happened? The CIA asked that question, and they started answering it on live subjects. They were doing this to actual people. Like, and I'll tell you, we don't use any of this today to our knowledge. It's about as useful as Stephen Hawking's input on a building stairs. Like, hypnosis wasn't fringe to Artichoke. It was like the central plot. Hypnosis was so important. And they'd use an induced hypnotic state while the subject was under the influence of drugs. They would create artificial personalities, alternate identities that could be activated under code words. Like, oh my God, do you know what this reminds me of? If you've ever seen Zoolander, I'll put it up on screen.
But you can help these children, Derek, by killing the Prime Minister of Malaysia.
Malaysia. They wanted to implant post-hypnotic suggestions, including carrying out messages with memory, committing acts of sabotage, and committing assassinations and then forgetting it. So basically getting blackout drunk or high and killing someone, and they wake up not knowing what happens, and that's It's that if they don't know what they did, they can't admit to anything. So, there you go. This is the basis of the so-called Manchurian Candidate model decades before the film even came out. The psychological torture techniques they would use was sleep deprivation for upwards of 120 hours, restless, no sleep. Solitary confinement in pitch black rooms. People go insane when just in pitch black. They'll become schizophrenic. Sometimes it's temporary, sometimes it persists. They would use sleep deprivation tanks with psychedelic drugs administered before and after. Sorry, that was sensory deprivation, not sleep, just to clarify. They would use electric shock therapy with audio programming, so shocking the shit out of them, and then playing repetitive noises, whatever it may be. While they're high, use threats of dismemberment as conditioning tools in order to like whip them into shape, which if you've partaken in like psychedelics before, that will mess you up. Frank Olson, an AUS Army bacteriologist, in November 1953, he was dosed with LSD at a retreat in Deep Creek Lake, Maryland. 9 days later, he was dead. The CIA claimed he but the autopsy report decades later suggests that he may have been hit in the head and thrown out a window. In 1975, the church committee began asking hard questions. Frank Olson's death came up. So did missing people, altered records, and randomly destroyed documents. Helms ordered the destruction of thousands of files, but 20,000 pages exactly survived, and they told a story. Olson's case wasn't really closed, it was more buried, and when it came out, it threatened to destroy everything the CIA had built on Artichoke. By 1953, Project Artichoke hit a ceiling. They needed something bigger, darker, more global. Sidney Gottlieb, the CIA's black sorcerer, he took the Artichoke's blueprint and created MKUltra, which, yeah, let's talk about MKUltra. Yeah, first video, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want. It's my channel. Every single thing that happened under Artichoke happened with MKUltra on a global, more worldwide scale as we know it. But it never would have existed if Artichoke never was founded. We now know some of Artichoke's methods inspired post 9/11 interrogation techniques. What else survived? Some files that are still classified to this day. Ooh, spooky. Artichoke never got a trial, it never got hearings. It got buried and rebranded as MKUltra. The next time you hear about MKUltra, remember that it wasn't the beginning, it was just the second act of something much deeper. If they were willing to do this in 1951, what are they willing to do now? Often, I think about Wendigoons. If you think the government wouldn't do that, yes, they would. Subscribe for the next deep dive. Let me know if you want me to go deeper into this story. MK Often, Stargate, and other black projects potentially coming soon. Like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want, and thank you for watching.